Hello, I have finally finished The End of Reason by Ravi Zacharias. I was sick for about a month and a half. I got distracted reading other things, trying to convalesce. At long last, I've read the last word, and I wanted to just give my thoughts. Ravi Zacharias has a couple of main points in this book. First, that atheism is bad, is a bankrupt worldview because it doesn't, because it's immoral. That's it. And he doesn't give any evidence to support this. He tells some stories. There's no science. There's no real honest discussion about what morality is. Like he clearly believes that morality comes from God, and that if you don't believe in God, then you don't believe in morality. And he's working from that assumption as if that's clear and that's objectively true. But as a result, he doesn't feel like he needs to explain why he thinks it's true. So he never does. He also claims that atheism fails as a worldview because it doesn't answer questions about abiogenesis or the Big Bang or any of that. Of course, he apparently doesn't understand that atheism doesn't have to answer those questions. The people that need to answer those questions are evolutionary biologists and physicists. You know, that's a lot of scientists are atheists, but they're not scientists because they're atheists. And this book has a little bit of an anti-science bent, you know, as if science is an outgrowth of the disbelief in God. You know, because you don't believe in God, you have to go out and, you know, do experiments in order to understand things. You know, everything's in the Bible. You don't need to do experiments. That seems to be what Ravi Zacharias really believes, and another assumption that that he leaps off of in this book in order to make his points. But he never tells us why he holds this assumption, why he really believes that atheists have to tell you where the universe came from. And nor does he tell you why his explanation, God created everything, is the best explanation. I mean, he clearly believes that it does. You know, and not only is this in support of religion, but it's also, it has some, it speaks out against Islam a little bit, and talks about Christ. It's basically a Christian, you know, he is a Christian apologist. So, and my point that I'm struggling to make here, as I'm stammering like an idiot, is that Ravi Zacharias never tells us why we should believe the claims of Christianity and not Islam. You know, and not Baha'i or not the Jehovah's Witnesses. You know, the thousands of others of the other types of Christianity, much less the multitude of other religions in the world. You know, he claims that atheism leaves people with a sense of hopelessness, and that it takes the beauty out of the world. And if you don't believe in God, then you believe everything is totally random, and life appeared on the earth by accident, and therefore life has no purpose. He conflates it with nihilism to a certain degree, believing that nothing really has any meaning or purpose. And so he sees the atheist life as utterly empty. Again, he doesn't explain why. The story he tells at the very end of the book is about a boy named Roger Holloway, whose sister was born stillborn at 30-something months, 31 weeks, there we go, at 31 weeks, and she would have been disposed of with no name. So he apparently lobbied some people, and he got a name for her, and he ended up having a ceremony, and had a church donate a burial plot. And at the end, he says that it's because of this story that he has hope for the world and for morality. And this is a perfect example of what he does all throughout the book. He doesn't explain how this story relates to morality or Christianity. all he does is he gives us a feel-good story, and then he just lays it out and he says, there you go, Christianity. But we don't even know that this Roger kid was a Christian. You know, he mentions a church donating a burial plot, you know, and Roger mentions God, you know, talks about his sister and his father being in heaven with God, but he doesn't tell us which God. You know, maybe it's Zeus. You know, maybe it's Yahweh, maybe it's Allah. Who knows? You know, but ultimately the point is, this is a book, a hardcover book. It's a good thing I didn't buy it. That was written and published, and it contains nothing. There's no content. It's really just one man being upset about what he sees as strident atheism, and quite frankly, with the popularity of people like Sam Harris that he does not have as a Christian apologist. The whole thing reads like sour grapes, you know. So I'm very profoundly disappointed in this. And maybe if I had known something about Ravi Zacharias before I started reading, I would have known that disappointment is what I should have expected.